How to leverage social proof. Social proof is a very powerful influence technique. We are social animals. We are comfortable following the crowd. We feel uncomfortable doing things that are not socially proof, which means things that nobody else is doing. One experiment that showed the utter strength of social proof was the Ash conformity test. They put a guy in a room by himself, and they showed him 2 pieces of paper. One paper had 3 lines, one paper had 1 line. The task was simple. Which of the 3 lines is the same length as the 1 line? Easy peasy, right? But then they put him in a room with other people, and the other people were purposely choosing the wrong line because they were in on the experiment. The real test was to see how many people would choose the wrong line because other people were choosing the wrong line. And the results show the power of social proof. 2/3 of people chose the wrong line to go along with the crowd rather than choose what they knew was the right answer. This is not bad. This is not good. This is just human nature. This is who we are. The real question is, how can you use social proof to persuade others? McDonald's has been leveraging social proof for decades by proudly proclaiming how many hamburgers they've sold. Back in the day, on every McDonald's store was a huge sign saying how many millions or billions of burgers they've sold. When we buy things on Amazon, we feel more comfortable buying things with more reviews than less reviews, because more reviews imply more social proof. Here are a few examples of how social proof has been leveraged according to Dr. Cialdini's book, Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion. Way back in the day when they started selling things on TV, they would show the commercial and then they would put a phone number on the screen. And the very first time they tried this, the voice came on and said, "Call the number on your screen. Operators are standing by." But nobody called. Why? That phrase, "operators are standing by," creates an image of a bunch of operators waiting for people to call, which means nobody's calling, which means no social proof. Then they changed the line to "call now. If the line is busy, please call again." Now this makes it sound like there are people calling in, which does imply social proof. Another great example from Cialdini's book is the petrified forest. There was a sign that said, "Did you know that 17% of people steal from the petrified forest?" They thought this would shame people into not stealing, but it had the opposite effect. People would be walking through the forest and they would be thinking about stealing a souvenir to take home, and they might be on the fence. Maybe I should steal, maybe I shouldn't steal. But then they would see that sign that 17% of people steal from the petrified forest, and they would think, hey, if 17% of people steal, I'm gonna steal too. The sign inadvertently socially proofed stealing, so they just switched the sign to the opposite. Do you know that 83% of people refrain from stealing from the petrified forest? And thefts went down. Another way you can leverage social proof is by using something called a linguistic presupposition. This is a way of hiding an idea inside of a sentence. For example, suppose I was selling you a car and I wanted to convince you that the car was popular. I could just come out and say, "Hey, this car is popular." But you could argue with that because that statement, "this car is popular," is just out there in the open. But suppose I said this: "One of the reasons that this car is so popular is the fantastic warranty. Here, let me show you what I mean." Not only does this sentence imply that the car is popular, but the warranty is only one of the reasons this car is popular. It implies that the car is popular, and it implies that there are many reasons why the car is popular. How about in dating and romantic situations? Social proof works just as well. If you go to the club by yourself, it will be difficult to get ladies interested in you. But if you show up with a couple of cuties, it will be a lot easier. This is the same principle as social proof. But what if you can't get a couple of cuties to come with you to the club? Here's a fantastic strategy. Step 1, get to know a lot of ladies. Step 2, find out anything you can about these ladies. This can be anybody: friends, Friends of friends, that checker you talk to at the supermarket every Tuesday afternoon when you do your shopping. Ladies that you want to cold approach just so you can get their name and something interesting about them to share later. Step 3, when you are talking to girls that you actually want to date, drop in some information, the names of these ladies and something about them. Don't say anything other than their name and a piece of interesting information about them. For example, suppose you're talking to a lady you'd like to make an impression on, and you find out through the conversation that she's studying psychology. Then you can say something like this. Ah, psychology, huh? My friend Teresa is studying psychology. She wants to be an occupational therapist. This will give you social proof. The lady you are talking to will only be able to imagine who Teresa is and what specifically your relationship is to her. If you can drop in a couple of female names and some interesting information about her that relates to the conversation, this will give you social proof. If you want to social proof an opinion, it's just as easy. For example, suppose you have an opinion that round pizza is better than square pizza. You could just state that as an opinion, or you could drop it in and hide it in the middle of a sentence like we did with the car example. One of the reasons round pizzas are so much more popular than square pizzas is because they create a communal effect. But you can beef up this statement by adding in a vague reference to any kind of authority figure. One of the reasons that round pizzas are so much more popular than square pizzas is because researchers have found that it creates a communal effect on the psychological level. Of course, this is best if you can actually back up your statements by actual study, but it is pretty easy to just make this stuff up. We'll leave that up to you and your own personal moral code. But the bottom line is very simple. Social proof is a very powerful, persuasive, and seductive force. The more you can creatively leverage social proof, the more seductive and persuasive you'll be. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment. To learn more, please visit mindpersuasion.com.